What I'm about to tell you is my life story. A story that may be eye-opening for you and can potentially change your life in a positive way, at least to some extent. My ultimate goal for sharing my story is for you to learn invaluable lessons from the story, to empower you. Not because I want you to feel sorry for me or hate anyone that I'll be mentioning in the story. The story includes mistakes of my grandparents, my parents, and, of course, my personal mistakes. Mistakes that you could also learn from, because I certainly did. And because of those, I am becoming a better version of me each day than my old self. Because that's the only person that I can compare myself with. So I decided to share my story as a self-introduction. So I'm not just another random stranger on YouTube who popped up out of nowhere. And spoiler alert, I don't have any fancy success stories like being a millionaire at the age of 12 or have a Lamborghini or a mansion or gold accessories that I can showcase. In fact, I only live in a tiny place with roommates, and I only own a bicycle as my main form of transportation. And I'm merely a fundamentally flawed human being who strives to continuously learn valuable things in life. I'm also a beginner YouTuber who is trying to figure things out with an intense desire to provide valuable information to others, with the hopes that I can improve their lives in some ways, at least to some degree. Without further ado, let's begin.
My new legal name is Nathan, and I'm transmasculine. I've been taking testosterone for more than a year now, which is a hormone that makes me look and feel more masculine to some degree. I also had my top surgery, and I sacrificed so many things in my life since I started transitioning. And you know what? I haven't regretted any of the sacrifices I made. I am Filipino, and I was born in the Philippines. I grew up with a dysfunctional family. My grandparents asked my mom to marry my dad when she was 17 years old, if I'm not mistaken, in exchange for material pursuits, which was unfortunately really common in the past generations. So, right off the bat, you know that the reason for the marriage was unjust, and so the result of the marriage was unfortunately also unjust because mutual love between my parents was never there to begin with. My parents had been constantly fighting since I was 7 years old. I could hear them yelling at each other in the morning, lunch, or even before bed. To add insult to injury, when I was 9 years old, I saw my mom hooking up with another man right in front of me. At a young age, I was told by my own mom to lie by not telling anyone about the other lover because my dad would hurt her. So, even if I knew that lying is bad, I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want my dad to hurt her. But then, I felt so guilty at the same time. Just imagine how mentally difficult it was for me to see my mom be with my dad and flirt with another man when my dad wasn't around. It was like protecting a criminal from being caught by the police. and just letting that crime happen. It might be a harsh analogy, but that's what it felt like for me. I wasn't mad, but I was fuming with anger against myself, the other man, and my mom. But since I didn't want my parents to fight even more, I chose to get stuck in that ethical dilemma. And I didn't know who to get advice from, because I promised my mom that I'll never reveal her secret to anyone. So I was carrying that mental baggage for years. Keeping that secret made no difference at all. As time went by, my mom's love for the other man was growing, while my parents' relationship was slowly shrinking, causing them to fight even more. Until one day, my mom started abandoning us when I was 9 years old. She came back multiple times, but then left us multiple times as well. Throughout the years that my mom wasn't around, my dad was extremely suffering, emotionally, psychologically, and physically. My dad was immensely puzzled and heartbroken. How dare my mom leave us so many times when he gave her almost everything she was asking for, even if he could not even buy those things for himself, like new clothes, bags, shoes, and even provided her with a self-employment through lending money to people and earning income through interest, but only to end up leaving my dad with so many unpaid debts she lent out. Not only was he left with lesser savings, but he also needed to work twice as hard just to continue to support us. So, right in my early years of existence, I started learning that no amount of money or any external rewards can buy true love. The true love that my dad was begging for from my mom was being privately given towards the other man. The man that my dad had no idea about. The man that I had been hardly trying to hide. Especially when seeing my dad crying. Until I got to the point that my conscience could not handle keeping my mom's secret anymore. So I finally revealed it to my dad. I was blaming myself for his suffering, and I was full of shame, to the extent that I could barely even maintain eye contact with him. I sincerely apologized and told him that I didn't want him to hurt her and see them fight even more. So I chose to keep that secret for years, which I was really regretting. Thankfully, after a few days of finding out the truth, he finally hugged me and thanked me for revealing the truth, and it made our relationship stronger. I hugged him back and promised him that I will never lie to him again, and even if he was severely wounded, he still forgave me. In fact, he's the most forgiving person I've ever known. My mom was impregnated by another man the last time she came back. You would think that my dad won't give her another chance, but he did, only to end up being betrayed and left empty-handed after about a few months of accepting her again. Throughout the years that my mom had been gone, my dad was a full-time father of 3. My brother was 5 years old, and my eldest sister was 12 years old back when my mom started leaving us.
He was in charge of driving us to school and back home. Not only that, he did the majority of the cooking, cleaning, and running errands. On top of that, he was a full-time tricycle driver. As you can imagine, he had little to no time enjoying life.
There were many times seeing him sobbing at night. He also mentioned how he still loves my mom and would still accept her even if she fooled him so many times. Regardless of his brutal suffering, he still kept on being a strong father and taught us so many lessons. The entire process of doing the laundry was only about 4 hours at a time, and I remember getting a sunburn because I needed to wash our clothes outside in a tropical country. I was also getting leg cramps because of sitting for hours on a footstool while doing the laundry, and I needed to do this at least twice per week. So the majority of my childhood life was about doing house chores. My dad also taught us how to cook basic foods, clean the house, fold the laundry, and other chores. I even learned how to make a little amount of money in a bunch of ways at a young age because we didn't have the luxuries to just buy whatever we want, like most of my cousins had, like new gadgets, clothes, bags, you name it.
I remember spending hours opening one oyster at a time. With a knife, I would fill one large cup with oyster just to get paid $2 per cup. I was also finding recycles on the street or asking people for their recycles so I can sell them. I was also selling ice candies at school.
No matter how hard it was to cope without the presence of my mom, I'm still so thankful for all of those because those experiences taught me so many valuable lessons that I still implement up until this day, such as having more gratitude about the things that most people just overlook, such as having a washing machine and a dryer, or even the fact of having my own bedroom. Because back then, me and my siblings were just sleeping in our living room floor on a sleeping mat because we didn't have our own bedrooms or even beds.
Until next time, thanks so much for watching. Peace out.